All right, thank you.
Awesome. How are you? One.
I'm well. How are you, Andy?
Good, good, good. Are you in LA?
I know I'm in North Carolina.
North
Um,
Carolina. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
cool. This is my
We're-
first time when I come to America. I went there. My first time.
Oh,
90,
awesome.
92.
90, yeah, I've been here since '01. So yeah, pretty
Ah,
much grew up in the area. It's so cool to meet you. I'm a huge fan of the Rush Hour film, so it was real cool to talk.
good, good, good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and so like working on Rush Hour, and you worked with Jackie Chan quite a lot. So now you're working, who's like a huge, Jackie Chan's a huge megastar. So now you're working with Simu, who is
Yeah.
also like on his way on that same path. Did you sort of like working with these two? Did you like notice any similarities? Sort of just getting to know Simu.
Yeah, for sure. They're great talent. They both have great talent, and yeah, we see they are similar. Yeah, they're similar. They're all Chinese, and then they're good action. Action actor. Uh, yeah, I never think about that, but that's kind of cool idea when you talk about that. I never because like the original pen, you were always saying I remind myself with my brother, Brett Allen, he passed away. We always remind when we start very beginning about Shang-Chi is we don't want to be, people say, oh, he's another Jackie Chan. So
Yeah,
that's why in my head, it's like try to see, it's Shang-Chi, he's a Shang-Chi. So we want to make him like, he's more like his own style, so
yeah,
yeah, so I never really like when you ask me I never compare them because I try to avoid them together. But then,
yeah, and I understand.
of course, like I did. People will say, "Oh, that's when you're watching the bus scene or watching the movie, you always feel like he's a little Jackie Chan." But that's very hard to avoid that with the. Even we try to purpose, we don't want to be create another Jackie Chan. But when you do this kind of action, not very isolated like a grandmaster or something, when the people fighting in the real life with different object, you right away lead into Jackie Chan. You cannot
Yeah,
avoid it because it's such a very very huge legacy or image. People think when you're running around with fighting, you're Jackie Chan.
yeah. No, no, I completely get it. Yeah, and they have like the similar sort of charisma, and
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
um Simo also has like when you're choreographing the bus scene. So
Mhm.
like how long did that sort of take to sort of choreograph, and then like because you break it up into like I think it has like three, start, finish, and so like how did you sort of like go about choreographing everything before like the Destin and everyone filmed it on
We,
in front of the
I mean,
cameras?
with the whole process, like I saying, this whole process takes whole year to finish the whole sequence. When we start from
Yeah,
like my first scene, I start prepping in Los Angeles. Is the bus sequence. We start with
yeah,
rehearsal, and then we create the whole thing. And then when we do the choreo, and then based on the Dustin, on the script, and then Dustin have a storyboard. So based on what he have idea, and then we incorporate everything into it. And the process is long, that take time forever. We're when we're shooting, I think it's like more than half a year when we're in Sydney, we still choreo. We have many, many versions. The version you see is like our 20, one of the last one. But then also we have longer version, we cut down stuff, so it's a lot of changing, but the structure is very similar from very original idea. So how he get into the middle of the bus and cut half, and then how he jump out to the window, go back into the front door, and then kick everyone to the bed, and then break the bus
yeah,
two piece. This whole structure almost the same what we have from from an early choreography. I
yeah,
remember the window thing when I choreo the window, how to catching the hand, slide and then go up. Everything is same. But inside the fight scene, the choreo, the movement, fight the hingeman, fight razor fist, that's a lot of adjustment, a lot of
mhm,
changing. Take off the jacket, put the jacket back. There's many, many versions, many, many versions. How to start the fight, many, many versions.
yeah,
So there's a long process. And right now, I've been like I saying, this sequence is the longest sequence I never work on.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I can't. No, I love that scene, and it's so like with Simu having like he worked as a stuntman before, so he had experience, fight experience. Did that sort of help make your job a little easier as also working with like Florian, who's also like a trained boxer and everything? So did that just sort of make your job a little easier when like your actors are a little more advanced than typical actors, I guess?
Yeah, of course, when they have a experience as the action, like Simo is good, it's not because he does some stunt. He's really like he trained taekwondo, he
Mm.
know tricking. So he have, the kicking skill already, uh very athletic. And then foreign, he have boxing skill, been doing the movie with boxing, but he never have a weapon skill, So when we say your hands like a knife, like a blade. So those movement is a little hard for him to adapt to him because sometimes you're thinking this, but he forget that this hand have to move. So those things for foreign to take time to practicing, and then we'll slowly build into it. And then also one of the challenge for him is he's so big. He stand inside the bus, his head's almost touch the ceiling. So
Mhm.
everything he gonna hit, he hit the bar, the top, he hit him, and his shoulder so wide, the aisle is so small that the bus between the two gap and between those price. So he always hits something. So that is for him is a big guy inside a small box. That is tough for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, but they did a good job. I think people like it. So
Awesome. And so like you've done a lot of like really great stunt work throughout your career. And like I mentioned the Rush Hour films, which is there's a lot of martial arts in that film as well.
uh,
And so like what did you want to specifically bring to Shang-Chi that was sort of like made it feel more authentic than just a typical, like you said, you didn't want it to just be like a people to think that he's another Jackie Chan. You gave him a unique flavor and he feels very a lot stronger, a lot more powerful. So like what did you want to like craft the authentic experience?
I mean, the very early first plan when I got the job with the from Brad Allen, the action director, and he
Mhm.
passed away. He's my little brother. When we start the very first time we talk about Shang-Chi, we already know we try to avoid not make Jackie Chan. We don't want to make another Jackie Chan. We want to make Shang-Chi. We want to
Yeah.
make a new Shang-Chi style. We want to make him special, but if people knowing the comment based on Shang-Chi is based on Bruce Lee, so the one thing for me is I get into it is about the kicking, the kicking skill, my background is Taekwondo, and I know Bruce Lee is all about kicking. So we want to apply to it. And then my pitch when I pitching about Shang-Chi to Brad, I say, out of all the superhero in Marvel's universe, nobody really based on the kicking.
Mhm.
Everyone based on something. Based on the shield, based on the hammer. Every
Yeah.
superhero have different thing, but nobody really like the kicker. So that's why I would say I want to try to hopefully the Shang-Chi style and with more kicking. So that's why we do the speed kick in the bus. All the kicking stuff, and then also because Simo can do it, so we want to make sure we deliver something he will be different than other superhero already. So that's the kind of like we make Shang-Chi have something. And then because based on the Bruce Lee idea, and then his title in Shang-Chi is called Master of Kung Fu. So we don't
Mhm.
want to be, he only know kicking. So we want he know everything. So, and then his father and the mother side, his father is Southern like a Hong Quan. And then the mother is Northern and soft side, like a Tai Chi. So
Mhm.
he have everything. So he have hard side, soft side, kicking skill, parkour. So when we make him like, you cannot say, so what's Sanchi's style? So Sanchi have no style, it's his style. So he's kind of like what Bruce Lee philosophy. So we don't want to make him like, oh, he is a jujutsu, oh, he's a judo, or he's a taekwondo. We want he have not everything, and so you can see he's very isolated. It's like what who is Shang-Chi? So Shang-Chi is a master of kung fu.
Yeah. And so like in the bus scene, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of CGI involved? Like I'm sure with the razor fist
And
sword and everything. Yeah, yeah. So outside of that, but like most of it's really practical fighting between Simu and Florian and all the people that are playing like sort of the henchmen.
yeah,
So was it so how much of it was like were you guys able to like pull off practically without using any like visual effects to kind of enhance everything?
almost everything. Almost
Awesome.
everything. The stunt, you know, everything you see is all practical. It's no CG people.
Yeah.
Everything is practical. Like how he the bus and then he flip over and then he jump off the bus and then he hang outside the bus and he go to the top and then he come back in. Everything is practical. Is we don't do any CG beside the hand. You know, it's
Yeah, yeah.
all practical and then with the wire.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I love that because it's you rarely see it. You don't see it outside of like the Mission Impossible stuff, but now, and so like you mentioned Bruce Lee, and he obviously does draw a lot of like stylistic. But did you like look at any of Bruce Lee like sort of movies? Because it does feel like you get like he fights a bunch of like the smaller guys, and at the end he finally fights Razor. So were you any specific like movies you were looking at to kind of draw that?
No,
Um,
I mean for me, you know, I always you know try to. I mean, I watching a lot of movie, you know, that's go up and then practicing, you know, martial art and something, but I don't really like do a lot of reference, you know, like pull out something and then see it. Even you what's it called, a march, you know, like
yeah, yeah, homage, yeah,
or salute or whatever call. I don't do those in mostly, you know, I watching it and then every time I'm watching it, it's all into my head thing. So that all is all from a memory instead from research. So
mm,
and then when I do choreo and the sequence is always is not like from any reference. It's more like it's organic when the feeling like, oh, this is the moment and these two guy here we do this free kick. So that's all just based on really the situation and thing. It's not really like because if we think about Bruce Lee, then we think about, oh, what Bruce Lee maybe take his step side kick or something.
yeah,
We try to avoid those things, you know, like we try to mix it more everything more original, and ideally, you know, even you feel, oh, the jacket same thing. We have some reference about jacket, but we pay many different versions. So one of the version right now look like this jacket before, but the jacket we take off the whole jacket and put it back, you know, but because, you know, from the Jackie side, you know, he does everything. So how many way you can do with the jacket doesn't feel like Jackie because every way he always done. But then we have the moment we want to be something, you know, is fit into the best. That's why, because it's so level, the guy will grab his jacket because tiny. So that thing is not because we want to be how much somebody or we want to
yeah,
reference by something. It's really naturally the choreo, you know, it's come with the thing. Like I grabbed the guy the hand and hit his head into the pole. So that's because it's just the pole is right there, and then you believe this is the real. So that kind of thing is not like trying to reference them too much. I think, and then when you reference something, then we really like the people can, oh, this is it. You replicate this, you know. So that's we'll try to avoid it, and then also, um, the unique for this bus sequence has never really been done. You cannot find any reference like have this kind of scale. You maybe I did the bus sequence fight scene before, you know, but it's not like this. You know, I did the subway fight sequence, not like this. This is
mm,
a much bigger scale and much bigger platform. So and then because with the razor fist with the blade, you can cut metal. So it's much more different than the, you know, what we've been done. So I think that makes everyone audience think, wow, this is very cool sequence because it doesn't really have so much you can recall and say, oh, this is similar something. So that's kind of like it's cool, you know. It's some movement you maybe can tie into,
yeah.
oh, some little bit Jackie Chan thing, but the scale and then the whole sequence is pretty original.
So yeah, no, it's one of the most unique kind of sequences we've gotten in the MCU. So that I really appreciate that. And I would just wanted to ask really quickly if there was any, but it feels like we got like all of it. Was there any like specific parts of it do you remember getting that got deleted, or that you wanted to do something a little extra and but you didn't have time or anything like that?
No, if I were asking, I wish, you know, we have a lot of cool moment too. We have a lot of cool moment, but then because and the screen time, you know, the length, the movie, so we had to trim it down. So
Yeah,
we have another. I mean, a few moments I think it's really cool, but we end up have to cut it out because the time we have, we cannot make it the sequence too long. So the director picking stuff. So we have to drop something I think is kind of cool, but never see it. And then we also we fight with the umbrella. We have one umbrella. We already shot that, but they cut it out. So
yeah,
only left the laptop, you know. But before
yeah,
after the laptop, we have a couple more object. But because maybe the screen time, so we take it out. So I kind of like feel I wish they're still there.
yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been so cool, Andy. I really appreciate it. I grew up watching you in the Rush Hour movies, so I've seen those so many times. And I don't know if you. I just saw that you worked with Dan Southworth. I grew up watching him too,
Yeah, I
and
work with that. That's our
yeah,
work.
and
He just worked with me at the last project I did.
yeah,
We
yeah. No, I used to watch him in Power Rangers way back in the day.
oh really? Yeah,
He probably,
yeah, he
but that was
worked for me for a long time, more than 20 years. Since I come
yeah,
to America, I use him. We work together, and he always my assistant and helping me. We just finished the movie in Budapest. Yeah,
awesome,
it's coming out. Yeah.
awesome.
So
I'll keep an eye out for it. Well, thank you so much, Andy. I really appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah.